All right, welcome. I am super excited today to be bringing a super cool lady that I met, I'm going to say almost a year ago. We met at a mutual friend's house. She had come over and was doing a really interesting talk, and that was the first time that I met Lisa Elle, who is going to be my guest today. And so welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here with us
Hi.
today.
Thanks,
Hi.
Adrian.
So Lisa, I'm just going to read a quick little bio about Lisa, and then we're just going to dive in. I've got a bunch of questions, some of which are related more specifically directly to the work that Lisa does with women, and then some are more around our kind of mutual overlap and my interest around fashion and beauty, and then of course how it all fits together into one big, super cool ball of interesting kind of overlap between these things, which is why I've got Lisa here today, because I think that there is such a so much overlap between these topics. So Lisa Elle is the owner of Elements Group, creator of the Money Makeover online course and Well Spa. She's the author of Strut, How to Kick Financial Assets in Sexy Shoes, which I've got a copy of here.
Yeah, I got one too.
Super great book. I loved reading this. When I got it from you last year, I read it right away when I got it back home. So we'll be talking more about that in a minute here. Lisa's been a financial coach and planner for over 17 years and is passionate about helping women create financial clarity and fund their dreams, which is, of course, anyone that knows me is I'm very, as much as I always talk about fashion and style and beauty, it's always very much in the broader context of how can this serve us to, reach whatever goals are important to us, be that a professional goal or a personal goal. So you and I are very kind of on a similar path in terms of our desire to help people achieve what it is that's important to them. So her professional training for this career started by graduating with a diploma in business administration from MRU in 2000, before going on to study insurance and mutual funds in 2001. Lisa Elle received her Certified Financial Planner designation in 2006 and Certified Professional Consultant on Aging in 2009. Lisa also completed her Bachelor of Management in 2012, and in 2015, Lisa completed her fellowship with the Canadian Securities Institute, which is the most senior credential and highest honor in Canadian financial services. Lisa Elle is also a certified cash flow specialist and elder planning counselor, and loves helping women with cash flow planning so they can accomplish their long-term goals while still buying, and I love this part, Starbucks shoes and handbags guilt-free, right?
Yes.
Which I just, so clearly clearly you're well trained in all of this. This is something that's obviously been an interest of yours and a path that you've been on for a long time. And a funny small little side note that may seem a little kind of unexpected, but I have a financial background as well. I actually have my finance degree. So I love numbers too. So I love that we're both like numbers people, and I don't know if you love spreadsheets, but I love spreadsheets, which surprises people. But then we also have this huge passion for fashion and beauty and all those things. So let's just dive right in with our first question. So Lisa, you wrote a book on personal financial management that has a pair of killer sexy shoes on the front cover. So can you explain this, please?
I sure can. So my whole thing with wanting to write a book for women was that it had to be fun. Like most women I know, most of my girlfriends, if they want to read anything financial, their eyes kind of glaze over, right? So I had to make it fun. And seriously, the thought of writing a financial book actually bored me to tears too. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? And Adrian, do you remember the movie P.S. I Love You with Hilary Swank?
Hilary Swank. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know if I've seen it. I remember hearing about it, but I can't remember if I've seen the movie or not.
Oh, it's a great rom-com. I love those kind of, romantic girly chick flicks. So in the movie, she discovers her passion and becomes a shoe designer. And I was kind of sitting there watching the movie thinking, oh, I'm so jealous of Hilary Swank because she gets to work with shoes and I get to work with, boring financial stuff. So I immediately was like, well, how can I make this fun? And then I'm like, oh, I will compare financial concepts to different pairs of shoes. So that's how the book was born. And originally I called it a shoe closet when I was writing it because I didn't have an actual title for it. But I just took shoes and compared it like every chapter to a different pair of shoes. So that's how the shoe theme came about. And then I came up with the title after I'd actually finished writing the book. And that's where strut came from. So, and there's also like a little dollar sign through the heel, which sometimes people pick up on. So something kind of fun in there.
And you clearly love shoes. Like I was just quickly rereading sections of the book, and right at the beginning of it, I don't know if confess is quite the right word, but you share the fact that you have over, do you want to tell us how many pairs of shoes you have? And maybe the collection's grown since then.
I haven't, I should recount. I should do that after this interview as something, I take pride in, but I do have probably over 170 at least pairs of shoes. It's probably grown just a little, maybe like a few pairs here and there, one a month, maybe one a month.
So you clearly love shoes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I when I met you and when I heard that you were going to be speaking, because I certainly get lots of invitations to go and hear various speakers, and as much as I want to be able to go say yes and see everyone, you have to pick and choose what you go to. And when I heard that you were going to be speaking on this topic of women and money, and when I'd gone online and kind of checked you out a little bit before I went to see you speak, and I saw that there was this like really kind of sexy, fun, fashionable sort of twist that you put on it. It really caught my interest because I'm like you, and I think, and you even admitted it yourself, and I think most of our listeners probably can relate that, a lot of times these topics around money and investing and all this kind of stuff, it's just like, oh my God, it's like boring, confusing, overwhelm, or it feels so at a level that's over our head. Like I listen to a lot of, big podcasters, Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins, all those guys. And, and they talk a lot about wealth and investment management and, the billions of dollars that they're managing. And I'm like, well, that's all great, but it feels so kind of out of my stratosphere, a lot of it, right? And I even have a finance degree, which we all know, like university degrees and real life practice they're not always necessarily one and the same, but I still find a lot of these topics they feel kind of intimidating. And so it's a big part of what I was really drawn to with you. And I love that you're hopefully going to help kind of spread this message a little bit further around with some of my listeners, is helping to make these topics a little more friendly and kind of playful, which I love. Like in the book, you link each topic to a different pair of shoes, and they sort of overlap, right? Like, like the, comfortable shoes for being at home, and the really sexy stilettos for when you're really kind of diving into, something a little more serious. And so it just helped to make the whole thing feel, I don't know, just somehow more friendly and less intimidating. So good job on that.
Thank you.
You use the term financially confident. What does financial confidence mean to you?
Oh, I love this question. So I think so much of it comes from why I want to use the term financially confident. I kind of use three terms that kind of go together: clarity, confidence, and courage. And I think to get confidence, you need to have courage. And I think you need to have clarity around what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, the intentions you're setting. So that's kind of what I mean by financially confident, and giving that to helping women to be able to do that so they can kind of get out there and, kind of, for lack of better term, take the bull by the horns and go out and strut their stuff and, make their dreams become a reality.
So when you meet someone so could you give a quick example of someone who represents financial confidence really well, and then what you maybe see as being kind of like warning signs of someone who's maybe a little lower on the financial confidence scale, and maybe one or two quick little, not to put you on the spot, but one or two little things that people can do right now today that with pretty minimal effort can give you a big kind of boost of financial confidence to say, you know what, this isn't so scary and intimidating. I can do this.
Yeah. So I think it's looking for the little wins. So to give you an example, I'm trying to think of someone who's super financially confident. funny enough, that's a little bit harder to do. I have like people in my own personal life, but no one would know who they are. But like, you know, you think of like Oprah or just a lot of those women who are like the key, like the business owners, the women who are just rocking it. But when I think of like women who aren't as financially confident, I think of, say, a lot of even my girlfriends. I have like amazing girlfriends who are, you know, talented and beautiful and they're just awesome, but they just don't have the financial confidence. And it comes out in ways where they're really, you know, worried about money and they're always focused on debt and accumulating more debt and just always kind of in that scarcity mindset, right? And I think one of the things, and even this morning I was chatting with one of my girlfriends and I just kept saying, you know, like, look for the gratitude, for the abundance, look for that in your situation instead of just feeling so down. I think it's kind of like the whole law of attraction thing, right? Like what we focus on, we bring more about, right? So I think that's a big thing is no matter where you're at, you know, look, and I mean, I get into this trap too. It's so easy to get into the vicious cycle in seconds, right? And just go down that path, but just focus on the gratitude, focus on the abundance that's coming and, you know, be creative, think of ideas, ways that you can create more abundance. And I think that's like a really good start to kind of get out of that vicious cycle and get into more abundant mindset. And that's where abundance will come flooding into your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think that's great advice. And it is really easy to focus on what's missing and what's not working, right? Like it's human nature. I mean, I think we're all primed, right? It's kind of like, you know, to always draw that analogy back to our caveman or cavewoman days, right? Like where we need to be always on edge in case there's a saber-tooth tiger about to leap out of the bushes at us. And so our brains are primed to always be looking for what's wrong and where a potential threat lies. And so, you know, certainly, you know, in my line of work, it's so common for, you know, women to be focused on, you know, well, what features of their body aren't ideal, or, you know, maybe the bank account's not as flush as they want it to be, and so they can't buy everything that they want, or, you know, it goes on. There's lots of different reasons. And, you know, much like what you're talking about, where, you know, we can be focusing on the, well, you know, oh, the debt, and, oh, I'm feeling stressed out about, you know, what's the lack of investment knowledge that I've got, and, you know, starting to really focus, you know, as we all get on an age, like getting more and more focused on kind of retirement planning, whatever retirement means for those of us in this modern day economy. But but really trying to shift our thinking into, like what you said, like that area of abundance and gratitude. And I'm sure it was in your book, you know, and where you talked about, you know, do you care? I'm sure it was you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, you know, do I carry debt? I know it was you. Like, it's like, okay, I have debt, but then I still have some money in savings. And should I be pulling my money out of savings to pay off that debt? And what you said, and it really stuck with me, was, well, if it gives you a good peace of mind and it lifts your spirits to look at your bank account and see that money sitting there, then there's huge value in that, mm-hmm. you know? So, and that was like one of the nuggets that I really took away from the book, was like, and I know that that's so true for me, like there's such peace of mind and looking at that bank account and saying like, yeah, there's some money sitting there. And not to say that there's not sort of a million other ways that it could be spent, but just knowing that you've got that kind of little nest egg sitting there brings huge peace of mind. And it helps to put me very much into that kind of financial abundant mindset. So thank you for, you know, having that kind of approach to it.
Yeah. And I get that question all the time. Like, should I pay down my debt or should I save? And I honestly say it's like what feels good for you. Seriously, like you can crunch numbers till the cows come home. If it makes you feel horrible and like just unhappy and unexcited about life, you're just going to attract more of that into your life. So sometimes it's not about the numbers. And I think that's part of what my message is it's not always about the numbers. Yes, numbers don't lie. But at the same time, there's more to it than just the numbers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you clearly love clothes, obviously shoes and clothes. I mean, you look beautiful and you always do.
Thank you.
So what is it about clothing and fashion that really captures your imagination?
Oh, I think it's because you can create who you want to be in a way. You can become, it's almost like playing dress up, you know, you get to be someone else in a way, even if that is you, right? So I think that's what makes me fun. Like for me, I love, love, love business suits. Love it. I could wear heels and a business suit every day. If that was like the only outfit I could choose for the rest of my life, it would be a business suit. Simple and classy, and that's kind of just how I would roll if I could. And then I go to the other extreme where I want to be completely lazy and in Lulus and not, you know, get off my butt, right? So I have like those two extremes. But I love it because when you dress, you do get that confidence. And that's one of the reasons I love business suits. I feel powerful. I feel I can tackle anything. I feel important, and people will listen to me. Whereas when I'm in my Lulus, I feel the exact opposite, and I just want to hide and you know, be reclusive and just, you know, disappear from the world. So I think it really does, like how you dress really does bring about, you know, the confidence. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. I'm like 100%. I believe a very similar thing myself, and it's something that I talk with clients a lot. And when I go and speak about, is very much the power of our clothing to really shift our mental state. You know, it's like different outfits. It's almost like different versions of ourselves. And of course, it's always all us, but it allows us to step into those different selves. You know, like you talked about, like the powerful businesswoman self versus, you know, maybe at home a little bit softer with the kids on the couch, you know, where obviously like a, you know, a power suit is just going to feel like the energy's wrong. Right.
Yeah.
And understanding how to really, you know, building up the wardrobe, obviously, so that you've got the right pieces to be able to do that. And then understanding how to kind of check in with your own energy and what your intention is and who you want to be in that moment or how you want to be feeling for a certain event. And then kind of having that sense or that idea of how to pull different pieces to help step into that. And I love that you love business suits. I think that's so great. It's one of the things, like whenever I ask my clients, you know, what pieces do you like? What pieces don't you like? 9 times out of 10, a lot of people are like, I hate suits. I never want to wear suits. And I always kind of smile because a certain number of them are kind of what I think of as being kind of like the corporate refugees, like, or escapees. Like they're people that have maybe left a little bit more kind of conservative corporate environment where they haven't felt like they've had a ton of opportunity for personal expression. And maybe they've stepped into a little bit more of like an entrepreneurial, you know, realm professionally or, you know, or whatever. Maybe they're between jobs and they're sort of rebelling. Like it's almost like they're rebelling a little bit against having to wear suits. But there's suits and then there's suits, right? Like and I think once people kind of wrap their heads around this, like not all suits need to be like boxy and boring. Like there's
no. Like, sexy. They're sexy.
Yeah, totally. Like really fun, fashionable suits that showcase a lot of personality. And then there's lots of ways to mix and match all those suiting pieces up too. So you and I are on the same wavelength with suits because I love them. Like I love blazers and I love all that kind of stuff because they're structured and they're powerful and they're just, it's such a versatile sort of outfit that you can deconstruct and put together in so many different ways. So kind of piggybacking on this question then, you know, what relationship have you witnessed both for yourself and in others between how people choose to present themselves, be that, you know, makeup, hair, clothes, body language, and the level of success that you see people having, be that personal success or financial success?
This is a great question. So I just literally, being the start of the new year, I just went, you know, and did all my planning for 2018. And one of the things I wrote down was my commitments, what I'm committed to in 2018. And I had a section on, you know, like your personal looks and not just exercise, but also how I'm going to look every day. And one of the things I am committed to in 2018, besides like showering, which is kind of funny, kind of not, when you're an entrepreneur and you're at home, all day. You
Yeah.
honestly, like, you can't, to do my hair every day is just sometimes kills me because it's so time consuming. So one of my goals is to make sure I'm showering all the time. Because seriously, if you're on your laptop, and any entrepreneur knows this, you can coast for a while. And especially with kids at home, and if you don't really have to see anyone and you run to the gym and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So but one of my other commitments is, besides showering, is to like actually put on makeup and do my hair and put on like nice clothes that I feel good in, because my productivity on days, and I've measured this, like, not scientifically, but I've measured this, my productivity is tenfold on days when I'm looking good and feeling good, right? And so once you feel good, then you're just going to attract so many more things to your life that you want to have happen. And on those days, I feel like I'm just on top of the world and I'm getting it done. Sometimes when I stay in my workout clothes all day after I've worked out, I just don't get as much done. Like, I find I have more wasted time. I might sit on Facebook more and not really engage with people, because partly I don't feel good about how I look, so I don't want to engage with people, right? So
Yes.
I think that's a big thing too. So yeah, that's one of my commitments that I'm committed to for this year. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I'm much like yourself, at year end, I always take stock on, reflecting back on the past year and looking forward to the future year coming up. And one of my ongoing categories has always been, for the longest time, is personal appearance. I mean, big surprise, this is what I do for a living. I mean, it would probably be weird if that wasn't one of the things that I focus on. But much like you, of course, the health piece is like given, and that's kind of almost its own little separate category. But then the same thing, it's like, how do I want to physically be showing up this year? And, and for sure, I mean, it's constantly evolving. And it also speaks to the fact that it is something that has to be on our radar, right? Like, nothing happens by accident in life. Like, people don't have financial confidence by accident. People aren't fit and healthy by accident. People don't have great relationships by accident. And people don't look stylish and pulled together and all those things by accident. And I think this is one of those things that can trip people up where, on one level, most of us understand that. We know that there's a certain amount of effort that goes into it. But I think it's really wrapping our heads around how much of an effort it really is. And I don't mean that it's one of these things where we need to be a slave to our hairdryer, a slave to our makeup routines, because I'm a big advocate. Anyone that's worked with me knows I'm all about speed. I'm like, okay, like, let's make this pleasurable, but like, okay, let's chop down the amount of time that it's taking to do this, because I mean, for a whole bunch of reasons. There's way more important things to life than obviously hanging out in front of the mirror all the time. And B, if it becomes this hugely time-consuming thing, then we're way less likely to do it, right? But
yes,
but all of these things do take effort, and it takes, like exactly like what you said, Lisa, having it on, it being, attention to presentation of self, having it as a priority, and then, like any priority or goal, like we all know, it's got to be actionable, and there's got to be timelines, and it's got to be realistic and measurable, and all those kind of good goal setting things. But personal appearance is no different, and so it really is having it front of mind. And then, like what you said, as much as possible, drawing those parallels for yourself or witnessing in others the payoff of that effort. Like you said, you experience increased productivity, you're way more engaged, you're reaching out, and all those kinds of things. And it's always a little bit chicken and egg. Sometimes it can be hard to know, right? Where if it's like, well, I was already in a good on mood, and that's what made me reach for the better clothes, which then just kind of rippled through. Some people might argue that, but there's a lot of actual research and studies that'll show you can trigger that more upbeat mood by simply choosing the clothes and making that effort, where it's like, well, even if you don't feel like it, I would argue all the more reason to like make that effort for the day, because the impact that it has throughout the rest of the day and then the week and the months, it's huge. It really is. So, so what item of clothing or accessory do you love to wear that always gives you great confidence?
Well, I'm sure you can guess what that is. It's shoes. I would have to say it's shoes. Heels. Like, heels give me great confidence. They make me feel taller. They literally, I don't know what they do. I'm no doctor, but they, kind of pop you up a bit and erect your back and all that stuff, right? Like they just make you stand taller, and I think they give you automatic confidence. And I'm not talking just like wedges, I'm talking like actual stilettos. I don't know, there's just something about it that just does it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. High heels are much like what you just said. Like they are definitely one of those things that you can put on that just really shifts state and puts us into that confident, powerful, that powerful confident state. Like even as I, like on this interview with you right now, I'm wearing heels. You can't see my feet, but it's just those little postural cues that signal to my brain, okay, it's time to be on, it's time to be engaged. It's time to feel, playful and have that energy. And I love it when we can figure out for ourselves what things help trigger us for that. I know for me, I love jewelry. Like I often and I can see you're wearing a great necklace. Like I think for a lot of women, can be almost like a talisman, right? Like it's something that we wear that just gives us that little kind of boost of confidence.
Yes.
So what beliefs most positively influence, or what beliefs have most positively influenced your attitude to your appearance?
Oh, I was thinking about this question earlier, and that's I really don't have a good answer to that. I would have to say, if I were to have a voice in my head, might be my sisters or my mom. So definitely growing up, being around two sisters and my mom, they're the ones whose voices I hear all the time when it comes to anything fashion or style or hair or makeup, anything related. It's their voice, right? That's in my head. So I don't know how you get rid of that. If anyone knows, let me know.
Is that a good voice? Are they good voices, or what?
So sometimes they're good, but sometimes they're not. I mean, it is good. I mean, it's good to be, I think, pushed. I think if anything that has pushed me to take care of myself the way I do, it's definitely because I had sisters and a mom who cared enough to push me towards that. I kid you not, if I was probably raised with a bunch of brothers, and maybe if I didn't have many women in my life, I could very easily be a tomboy and not even do any of the makeup, foo-foo, anything. I would probably not do anything. That'd probably be more my natural, the path I would probably naturally take in life. So yeah, so I mean, that's good. I think in a way, kind of some peer pressure from my family, right? So it's good that way. Some of it positive and some of it negative, but I mean, it's all, overall it's good, right? Because it gets you to question yourself around your style and your appearance and what you're putting out into the world. And it's good sometimes to have those mirrors of family or people you love or girlfriends or whoever to kind of tell you how you're looking and how you're appearing in the world. It's helpful. So
yeah. I mean, it's being really objective about ourselves is a skill, like many other skills. And some people seem to have a better sense of how they're being perceived by the world at large. And other people there's a bit of a bigger disconnect between who they know they are on the inside and how they think they're being perceived, and then how they actually are being perceived. Not everyone falls into that category, but I certainly meet a fair number of people where it's almost like they're a bit surprised when they hear the type of comments that they get from other people about how they come across. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's absolutely great to have people's opinions that we trust and that we value, of course. It's like anything, we have to, filter, right, what information for sure.
Yeah.
And, and then your other comment though too about you feel like kind of like your alter ego, it wasn't quite your word, but you almost could have been like a tomboy. And I think, I know I speak for myself and for a lot of my clients and people people I meet. I think that's all of us. I think we all have these different sides to us. Very few of us are one person, like very few women are, always appearing exactly the same way and, are super consistent in how they show up. Not to say that there's not a few of them out there, but I would say that they're more the exception than the norm. Mm-hmm. And I think the rest of us, there are, again, different sides to us. And I think I think it's a good thing to think about and reflect on and to question, like, you know, who am I and why am I choosing to show up the way I am? And, you know, and reflecting on, well, where is it benefiting me? Like, hopefully there's benefit. And maybe where are certain aspects of it maybe not benefiting me, and maybe there's certain ways of being that I could drop or explore different ways of showing up or different styles or whatever that might look like. What is your best fashion or beauty purchase under $100?
Okay, so I pulled some of these out of my shoe closet. So my sister got me these great Fluevogs. Look at those. Are those fun?
Those are fun.
She got those. So Fluevogs are, I don't even know, probably like, I think those ones would probably be around $400. But my sister works in the film industry in Vancouver, and on one of the shows that she was on, they have set sales with all the actors, you know, clothes and everything from the set. So she got these for like $20. So I think that's a great deal. They've like barely been worn. So that was a good $20 purchase for under $100. So absolutely.
Yeah, I love Fluevogs. I grew up in Calgary on 17th Avenue, and we had still have a great shoe store, Gravity Pope, and they were one of the very first, shops, boutiques in Calgary to be carrying Fluevogs. And so I have coveted and owned numerous pairs of Fluevogs over the years, and they're great, like fun and unique, and really off the beaten track of. They just have their very own distinct style. So those are awesome. And especially fun that they have this kind of history to them, like where they were used on set for a film. And I don't know if you have a chance to spot your shoes like in a scene somewhere, but that makes it extra fun.
Yeah, right. I think so. And then, so my favorite fashion purchase over $500 would have to be my Louboutins, because I wear them every time I do speaking engagements, and they got that red heel, and they're just like my power shoes. They're black. They're very simple. I forgot them at my house today. So, but just plain black, simple pumps, and with the red sole, I don't think you can beat that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good, kind of one of those good classic style principles is, when you're looking at investing in something that is a higher ticket item, usually you're safer to go with the really classics, right? Because when you're spending that kind of money on a great pair of shoes or whatever the piece might be, hopefully you're going to wear it tons, and hopefully you're going to have it for a long time. And so the more classic that those pieces can be, as opposed to really trendy and something that, is going to look and feel really dated in a year from now, is always a, more savvy financial investment of your money. So what is your consistent routine that you like to follow when choosing an outfit? Like what is your process to getting yourself dressed and ready to face the day? What are the steps that you go through?
First of all, I check my calendar because I need to see who I'm meeting with, what I'm doing. And I think that sets pretty much what I'm going to be wearing for the day. If I do get to go downtown, I probably do pick a business suit. If I am literally staying here at my office, then if I'm not meeting with another person, this is where I get into that bad habit of just like staying in my workout clothes. I might not even get dressed. So I'm going to try and change that this year. But if I don't meet anyone, except for my assistant, who knows I come to work in workout gear all the time. But yeah, so it depends on what I'm doing. And then from there, once I know what I'm doing for the day, so for me, it's a lot about practicality, by the way. And then, of course, the season is the second thing I think of, the weather. And if I can, for example, if I'm going downtown, even if it's -30 and I'm parking underground and I'm just walking in the buildings and then walking back to my car, I will totally dress as if it's summer. Or so it just depends to how your day is going to be going. But so I think that's my biggest thing. And then after that, I pick my outfit, and then I match up my jewelry, kind of goes next. And that's kind of how I go.
So you look at your calendar, you figure out what you're doing, and then you pick your clothes, and then you pick your accessories. And then, so do you do your makeup? Do you like to do your makeup at the very end?
I do my makeup at the end usually. Yeah, makeup and hair at the same time. I
Yeah.
try to multitask that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that ends up very good at all, but yeah.
And do you find, like, would you say you're the type of person that once you know what you're going to wear, you put it on and that's what stays on? Or do you end up with a pile of like 50 different tried on outfits and feeling frustrated and end up back in the first thing you tried on?
Rarely. I am a person who makes decisions and sticks with them. I honestly, I hate trying on clothes, and I just like it done. And if I could just set out my month's worth of outfits, and if I had a closet big enough, I would. And I would just have like it labeled by the day. And then I would just, like, the less thinking I have to put into it, the happier I am. It's one less decision I have to make.
Yeah.
So I make my decisions pretty quick, and then I just go with it. And that's why a lot of my pieces are black, and they match with each other. So it's easy to kind of like pick and choose and throw in something with a little bit color or whatever over top.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, I think anyone that's busy and has a lot on the go, the more streamlined that you can make things, the easier. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we don't want to feel like we're wasting a ton of our sort of time and energy, especially in the morning, when for a lot of us, that's kind of like our peak time to really, get things out. We don't want to feel like that's being kind of wasted, so to speak, on frustration. Right. And so, yeah, so having a wardrobe where, like you said, black, I mean, that's not uncommon, right? For a lot of us to have wardrobes that are more on the neutral side so that we can really mix and match things really easily. And then exactly like what you said, just throw a little pop of something fun in there. I think it's, as much as we want dressing to be this like super creative thing all the time, it can be, but I think more often than not, it's from a practical standpoint to almost kind of, I don't want to say automate it because that sounds really dry, but create almost like a, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a uniform, right? Almost
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I have activity A today, so that means I reach for these type of things. And activity B, I reach for these type of things. So that it just flows a bit faster for us.
Hey, sometimes I'm jealous of people in uniforms. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's funny, like I grew up with a few friends that were in like private schools and stuff, and they all hated their uniforms, right? And they were all looking for ways of how they could kind of modify their uniform and kind of, like put a little personality into it. So, so I don't know, it's like anything, like there's the pros and then there's the cons to it. So,
yeah, for sure.
But as much as possible, I think it's good, especially if we kind of recognize that we have that personality type, to streamline our wardrobe as much as possible. And so again, so that we're just minimizing the amount of decision making that needs to go on.
Yes.
So again, it speaks to that, like doing some work up front, so that in the day-to-day moment and experience, things just feel, it's kind of the equivalent of like, with food prep or something, like, prepping food at the beginning of the week so that you can just kind of quickly assemble stuff throughout the week. I dream about doing that. I don't claim to actually doing that, but or I'll do it like for 1 week and then I'm like, that was great, and then it doesn't happen again for a while.
Yeah.
So what are some of your unusual or odd beauty habits that you have?
Okay. Oh, odd. I'm very like, okay, I don't wash my face. I have this crazy thing where I just wash it in the shower. I sleep with my makeup on at night. I don't take anything off. I'm like, I can just hear everyone who's ever done anything skincare, like, oh, I go for facials maybe once every 2 months. But other than that, I actually focus, like, I don't do anything with my face. And so the reason behind that is because when I was a teenager, I had the absolute worst acne known to man. I was on Accutane. I've been on every single face thing there ever was. And when I was like early 20s, it was still bad. And finally, one day, I just stopped caring about it and stopped putting attention on my face. And I would just focus 24/7 on my face. And it just exasperated the problem with my acne. And when I stopped caring about my face, my acne just cleared right up. So I kind of stick with that as far as like skincare goes, because like I don't aggravate it. I don't touch it too much. I just kind of let it be. And I think it's just like kind of simmered down a bit because I'm not as focused on it. As funny as it is, and may sound corny to some people listening, but it's kind of like the law of attraction thing. And I had that with my face, and it was my biggest battle for, I swear, like 10 years. And I just finally said, okay, this is not important anymore. And I just let it go, and it magically cleared up. So I don't know what to say. That's kind of my unusual thing, is that I don't really care about my skin, because I don't put focus on it as if it's the most important thing. My biggest thing right now is just exercise and just overall health. So that's kind of where I put my focus. Yeah.
No, and I love that. I think I love it when people are honest. So thank you for being honest, because it's like, it's exhausting when everything's perfect and everything that everybody does is exactly like what we're supposed to be doing. And I have to 15 step this and I do that. And not that there's anything wrong with that. For those people that enjoy it and it works for them, that's great. But it doesn't mean that the rest of us have to be doing that. Like, there's no one right way with 99.999% of life, right? And it really is about finding what works for you, and and not sort of feeling bad about it either, like just being like, no, this is what I do. And I love to hear that, that you wear, I'm interested to hear that you wear makeup to bed, for example. And
I don't take it off. I put it on this morning and I don't take it off. I just, whatever. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's good. It's good for people to hear that, though, because some people, if they say they haven't worn much makeup in their life, a common concern can be, well, it's going to damage my skin, right? Or it's bad for my skin and all these kinds of things. And I think it's nice. It's good for people to hear, like, oh, look, like there's people, like maybe not everyone out there is doing that, but I know you're not the first woman I've met who sleeps with her makeup on. Like
it's laziness too, right? It's like, I'm going to bed. I care more about going to sleep than I do about taking off my makeup.
Totally. Like, I know one lady who actually does her makeup at night and sleeps in it and then leaves it on the next day because she prefers the way her makeup looks in the morning after she's had it, because it's kind of lived in looking. And I love that. I mean, it's like whatever works for you, right? Like, I have a certain way that I teach and certain things that I teach, but I always tell people, I'm like, but figure out what works for you and let go of feeling like it needs to be perfect and done a certain way, right? I think, and that applies to everything, like skincare and how we're doing our makeup and how we're, building a wardrobe. I think we can all should ourselves to death, right? And there's so many shoulds around all of this stuff. 2 more quick questions and then we'll wrap. So what is a what if that you ponder about your style?
Oh, what if I had like super short hair? Like, I've always, for the most part, had longer hair, but super short hair. Or if I had like, I don't know. I don't have any tattoos, but there's always that, like, wonder what if, or I don't know, just more piercings, all those things. Like, I'm that personality who would love to try everything. At the same time, it's one of those things that I seriously weigh against my personal brand and in branding my business as well, because in a way, this is kind of, how I'm, becoming an author and building your personal brand. These are things I think about. If I didn't have so much a business or was self-employed, I may look at doing some really crazy things. So maybe it's a way to keep me in check. I don't know. But I do think about all the different outfits and styles I would wear. So, and I think I would have fun wearing them too. I think I'm that kind of personality type as a Sagittarius, right? So I could jump into anything. I'd be probably great on a film set. I would love to try on all the costumes, everything. So yeah, I think about that for sure.
That's super fun. And what have you become better at saying no to in respects to choosing your outfits?
Okay, so things that I think I'm going to fit into again one day. I've become good at saying no to them, as in maybe even letting them go, like doing a physical release and getting rid of those clothes. I think that clutters up my space. My closet is full of clothes that I'm going to one day get into. So saying no to those, saying no to things that don't look flattering on me. I'm aware of my body style. I have a super, we all have a specific body style, right? And certain clothes look good on us and certain clothes do not. One of the clothes that I have said no to for sure is anything that makes me look like anything baggy. I like things that are more fitted around my waist, and not because I'm thin, by no means, like in that way, but because when I wear baggy clothes, it just makes me look like there's extra weight or extra, like I'll get asked, "Oh, are you pregnant?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't need to have that conversation again. It's been 10 years." So just things that look a little bit more flattering on me, like empire waist for sure. So those kind of things, and being okay with not wearing the in style clothes. Like for example, like my girlfriend bought this amazing like sweater that was baggy at Neiman Marcus at Nordstrom's. And anyways, it's super stylish, super gorgeous, cashmere, everything, but it looked frumpy on me. And so I just said no to it, even though she like gave it to me. I just said to her, I'm like, no, find someone else who will look really good in it and wear it and appreciate it, right? So I think knowing your style and knowing what really looks good on you is important too, especially when you're creating a personal brand or, just doing anything in life, right?
Yeah. No, and it does come with a lot of self-awareness and like you said, like knowing your body shape, how to dress for your body shape. And really the only way to figure that out is through a lot of trial and error, right? Like there's no, I'm sure like that's been your experience. Like there's no magic formula to this stuff. It's a lot of like fashion disasters, so to speak. I mean, they may not be all that disastrous, but it's a lot of, let's call them fashion misses, right? To kind of wade through all that stuff to figure out, okay, yeah, no, this does work for me. And, like what you said, being able to be as objective as you can around knowing what is flattering and what suits you, like not only your style, but also what just suits your body shape. So thank you for sharing some of those tips, because like, how would you describe your body shape? Like, are you fairly like hourglass shape or what?
Yeah, I would say hourglass shape more so. Yeah. Like I have hips, or yeah, I'm not straight.
Yeah, so that hourglass, right? Like more bust, bit of a waist, nice hips. And so you have found, just to recap for everyone listening, because a lot of women have a similar body shape, right? And so your experience has been wearing more form-fitted pieces, and then like what you've done today though, maybe like where you're wearing a form-fitted piece and then something that's got a little bit more structure over top. Like, is that a common sort of pattern how you dress?
Yeah, no, this is just like a little jacket that I'm wearing. Yeah, but it does, like, I think anything that shows that my stomach, I seriously, like, it was all about being asked if I was pregnant. If I wear anything that kind of balloons, like, or if it goes straight down from the breast area, right? Then I find it just made me look big, right? So I like the fact that I can wear a tank top where it makes me look more fitted around the waist. Yeah. And then have like a jacket or a blazer, back to the whole business suit thing, right? Have something over top, and that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that it's doesn't come naturally to all women to wear more fitted pieces. It's something that I find it's a common conversation that I have. Like, I'm sure just like with a lot of your clients, there's going to be those certain themes that come up, like you said earlier in our conversation around, do I carry debt? Do I, empty out my savings to pay that down? One of the conversations that I have with a lot of women is a hesitation to show their shape when they feel like perhaps they're not at their, quote unquote, ideal body shape. But I think what you're saying is such an important sort of style. I won't even say tip. It's like a style rule. It's like, we really do have to show our shape, because all of us do, but keeping everything feeling balanced so we feel covered up and everything. But otherwise it can create the illusion of excess weight where there really isn't any. And so being comfortable wearing pieces that do show your form, is something that can just, it's a bit of a leap for, I would say, quite a few women to get comfortable with that. So, so thank you for sharing that is something that you have found to be successful for you. And of course, then it helps you to, look great. Like, you always are going to feel like you've got, that ability to just have some real fun with your clothes. And so on that note, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. And I know that you have got some great resources that for those women out there that are interested in learning a little more about being financially savvy in a fun, really kind of like down to earth way, can connect with you on. So I know you've got a great resource called the Financial Bliss Starter Kit that you would love to make available to the listeners today. And so I will include details on that for those that are interested. And what is your website, or what's the best way for people to reach out to you if they have questions or if they'd like to connect with you one-on-one about anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Financial Bliss Starter Kit I have at financialbliss.ca. And then my company is called Elements Group, and that's at elementsgroup.com. And everything that I do is on Elements Group, including my wealth spa. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate all of your time. And yes, and so thank you so much.
Thanks, Adrienne. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Take care.
You too.